Good morning. It's Tuesday, October 21st. This is Training Wheels. This is an hour that we spend, or just about an hour, as long as it takes, for us to go through a daily lesson of A Course in Miracles. And we're using a book that was published in 2019 called Training Wheels, that really looks at the daily lessons of A Course in Miracles through both a non-dual lens, but also through the lens of just everyday language and everyday experience. And it takes it out of the kind of traditional Christian language of A Course in Miracles. So today we are on lesson 65. And lesson 65 is my only function is the one God gave me, or I said Source gave me. So what we usually do, if you want to turn to that lesson, if that appeals to you, that's fine. But what we always do is I invite people to just turn their screen off, and I go through the first 50 lessons just as a meditative practice, and then I'll do a little bit of a reading on the daily lesson, and then we'll sit for a couple minutes in contemplation on the lesson, and then we just have a talk about it. What does it mean? How is your contemplation? How does the lesson find you today? So I'm going to turn my screen off and invite you to just let go of whatever the day has brought to you so far. It's 10 o'clock here, but no matter where you are, even if you've just woken up, there are still things in the day that like to attach themselves to your field. So just take a few moments and settle into wherever you are. Just become aware of being aware in this space that you find yourself. And set the intention to allow whatever arises, no matter what it is, to be the witnessing awareness and just noticing. How do the words feel in your body? Do they resonate in some way? Are you bored with them? Do you resist them? Do you sink into them? Do they sing to you? So we begin. Nothing I see means anything. I have given everything I see all the meaning it has for me. I do not understand anything I see. These thoughts do not mean anything. I am never upset for the reasons I think. I am upset because I see something that is not there. I see only the past. My mind is preoccupied with past thoughts. I see nothing as it is now. My thoughts do not mean anything. My meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. I am upset because I see a meaningless world. A meaningless world engenders fear. God did not create a meaningless world. My thoughts are images I have made. I have no neutral thoughts, and I see no neutral things. I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts. I am determined to see. I am determined to see things differently. What I see is a form of vengeance. I can escape the world I see by giving up attack thoughts. I do not perceive my own best interests. I do not know what anything is for. My attack thoughts are attacking my own invulnerability. Above all else, I want to see. Above all else, I want to see things differently. God is in everything I see. God is in everything I see because God is in my mind. I am not a victim of the world I see. I have invented the world I see. There's another way of looking at the world. I could see peace instead of all this. My mind is part of God's mind. I am very holy. My holiness envelops everything I see. My holiness blesses the world. There is nothing my holiness cannot do. My holiness is my salvation. I am blessed as a son of God. God goes with me wherever I go. God is my strength, and vision is God's gift. God is my source. I cannot see apart from God. God is the light in which I see. God is the mind in which I think. God is the love in which I forgive. God is the strength in which I trust. There's nothing to fear. God's voice speaks to me all throughout the day. I am sustained by the love of my Creator, and my only function is the one Source gave me. My only function is the one Source gave me. Open now to the possibility that you did not create yourself. You may know this intellectually, but in this moment, feel it. I did not create myself. I am here, but I don't know how I got here. I don't know what I am. How did I get here? What does being here mean? I don't really know. I am sure of only one thing. I am here, wherever here is. And so I am here in this, whatever this is. And perhaps the next logical question is, why? Why am I? I just am. When I ask this, there's only silence. My function here is the one Source gave me. But the rational mind is incapable of seeing beyond the function it has given itself. It has built a box, climbed in, shut the door, and called itself complete. Projection is a function of the rational mind, of the egoic mind. Projection occurs when I deny what I cannot stand to see in myself. So I throw it outward into whatever is nearby. What I judge despicable within, I bury, bury, bury. I unconsciously project it. I cast it out, and thus what appears to be outside is really inside, which is why I cannot know my function by myself. Our universe, this whole world, everything in it, is our creation. And nothing that we experience is not of our own creation. There's only one way out, only one way out. It's the way given by Source. And it is forgiveness, which is allowing, which is accepting, which is just being without resistance. Forgiveness is a quantum catalyst. It ends the denial of truth. It corrects perception, and it allows the light to enter as it truly is in everything. God is in my mind. God is the mind in which I think. So what we're going to do today is just practice. We're going to take about 5 minutes, maybe 10, and we're going to sit, closing our eyes, relaxing the body completely, even more than it's relaxed now. And when you're ready, say in your mind, my only function is the one Source gave me. My only function, which is to allow and allow and allow. That is the function Source gave me. Try to feel the vibration of these words in your body. Let them become your focus. You don't give anything up by giving your function to Source. Instead, you're taking your rightful place in this world with this thought. You did not create yourself, nor did you establish your function. But it is the end of doubt about your purpose. Sit for the next 5 minutes. I'll time us. Just contemplate the idea that you did not create yourself. But that you can know your function, which is to allow all that arises before you and to let it move through you. Let's begin. When you're ready, take a few cleansing breaths and gently come back, and let's talk about this lesson. There are a couple of words in this lesson that strike me. The first word is function, my only function. It's an interesting word. And then the word only, my only function. There's no other function, just that. I have no personal function. There is no personal self. And what is a function? I could have said my only purpose is the one Source gave me, but that's not what it says. Function means it has a sense of doing. It's kind of like a purpose, but it's more active than purpose. My only function is the one Source gave me. And that function is forgiveness. Which is allowing, which is non-resistance. That is the only purpose, the only function, is to allow all things to arise as they arise and to trust I did not create myself and that they are for my benefit. This one lesson, if understood properly, would end all suffering, all questioning, all conflict. If you could spend one day repeating this lesson to yourself every 10 minutes, what would your day be like? If you watch the news and someone's doing something completely ignorant, which is what happens all the time, and you could say to yourself, my only function is the one Source gave me, and believe it. It doesn't matter if you say the words, it matters if you believe the words. Which is why it's so important to recognize you did not create yourself. You did not create your function. This is the most opening, freeing lesson. You don't have to establish your own purpose. You don't have to attach to anything. You don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to think about anything. You don't have to justify or rationalize anything. You just have to know that in every situation, under all conditions, at all times. Your only purpose is to allow whatever to arises as it arises, and to stay within the center of your being. And as our great teacher Indigo says, it's always all for me. So that's what I have to say today. All means all. Yes. Which is another reason, one of my favorite lessons lately is to have, give all to all. So to have, with a capital H, give everything to everything, which is the all. Anger comes up, I give it to the all. Fear comes up, give it to the all. Even if it's joy or peace or happiness that comes up, great, give it back to the all. Sandra, good morning.
Good morning. A couple jumping in early because I might have to drop out as soon as my daughter arrives. But what I thought of as I listened to you, remember I used to be an elementary school teacher. Many, many years ago. And I raised 3 daughters. And I remember thinking, and it came up over and over again, how much easier it was to love children than it is to love adults.
Mhm.
Because when a children acts out, I mean, through your training, through early childhood education, and just knowing, like a 2-year-old throwing a temper tantrum and screaming, you know instinctively that all they need is love. And you also know that you can escalate things by just, getting into it with them and fighting back. But if you use the wisdom and the inner knowing that everything is a call for love, which we are taught through the Course, it's either love or a call for love. When you know that, then it's much more fluidly available, at least to me. It's more available to me that love that passes all understanding, that peace that passes all understanding. And so as I moved into different areas of work, I was actually training teachers for a while, and it was like, just look at I mean, your biggest problem are probably going to be the other members of the staff and the principal and the parents, not the kids. But they're all children. All of us are children. And for me, they're all children of the one. So I don't know why that came into my mind, but that's what came, because if my only function is forgiveness, and forgiveness implies to me a deep love and understanding of the truth of each being, then I can call upon that source. Sometimes in here we differentiate between the egoic self and the true self. Well, that if we do that, that true source is what we are, and not let the patterned, conditioned, egoic, defensive aspect of our experience. Let that go and trust the other, trust that source. And once I was able to, I mean, I didn't know this really when I was a teacher, but it's funny because the principal kept giving me all the difficult children because he said I handled them better. I was like, no, I'm gonna stop. No, no. But but once I became aware of the truth of all, then it became so much easier. Like even those closest to me, which I always find to be the most, um, I was going to say the most challenging, but I'm going to change that. I found the most opportunity to practice um, that if I can just remember, they're just this innocent child who needs love. It becomes much easier, much simpler. And I see some of these, where you mentioned the news, I see so many political players just throwing temper tantrums on the world stage from all sides. And while I can't take them in my arms and cradle them and say, they're there, I can send love. And I used to send love and like hope that it would reach them. Now I know when I send love, it does reach them. It doesn't mean it's going to change any behaviors. I don't know, might not. That's not really up to me,
Okay.
this individual self. I just trust that when all of us start cultivating that deep inner source of love in whatever way works for each of us. For me, it's seeing them as children. It might be different for other people, but the more we do that, I don't have to go hold signs and stand on the side of the highway. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to even, all I have to do is remember that and feel it, feel the emotion of it. It's not a cognitive exercise, it's a full body feeling of experience. So I can then love myself in that as well. Because sometimes I'm that little child throwing the temper tantrum myself. I've done it. I thought that somehow I would never do that again, but boy, it just takes me over sometimes. So that that's my response to your lovely, beautiful meditation, dear sweet Amy.
No, Sandra,
I love you.
I love you too. And I want to borrow something that you just said, which is the full body. It's not cognitive, it's a full body experience. And the understanding, the acceptance, the experience of knowing we did not create ourselves, that is a bodily experience. And for some people, it's very fearful because then you have to ask, well, who did? What am I?
Yeah. I
And
I
yeah,
don't really fear that much anymore, but when it happens, now I'm able to say, feel the fear, lean into the fear, see what fear feels like. I can do this with every emotion, really. Feel it, feel being hurt. Yes, my feelings are hurt. Well, what does that feel like? Really feel it fully. And know that it's not gonna harm me at all. Totally trust the feeling. And it does transmute, transform, whatever the word is. And that's the miracle, and so many miracles. So many miracles. So I thought I'd jump in there. Nobody had their hand raised. Thanks for listening to me, all of you beautiful people.
thank you. Thank you. I hope you can stay with us. Who's next? Hmm.
I wanted to expand on that. The guides say that everything is like when you start seeing everything as opportunity, that's like when you can also kind of lean into this like thinking where it is our only function is the one that God gave us. And like it's yeah, all means all. And and separation, like it is such this tightly woven net where it is going to like it is going to weave itself a little bit tighter so that maybe you don't see it. But like it is in that recognition that the little miracles do happen. And even when like you understand that someone else is in their density and like it's very clearly like demonstrated like to your face that is like that is what's happening. It's knowing that like what exists in them in truth is like in reality the only thing. Even though like reality seems like so like a tornado or something right now, especially just like globally. Like it does seem like we are on the like brink of something. And I keep trying to like think in my head, I'm like, how do we like change it? Can we like divert the path? But yeah, and it's helpful, I feel like, for me to remember. Like it's like I'm on the review section right now where it's like my mind is like God is the mind in which I think is like the repeated um lesson. And it's completely true. And I have to like and when I remember it is an entire full body experience. It's like I'm having trouble like controlling it when I'm like with my family or like at work. Like I'll just kind of start lifting and I'm like, okay, I look kind of crazy. I start like doing like dance moves so that I like look like a little bit normaler, but I still look kind of like a little crazy. But yeah, that's what's going on in this individuation.
Oh, I love it. Mm, that's right. It's right, though. I mean, it's hard for us to really understand God is the mind in which I think. There isn't any other mind. There's no separate self. There isn't anything else. Cindy, come on down. Sit
Okay,
at the head of
Laura,
the table.
I'm doing a Sandra right here. I have no idea. Like I waited to watch the hands, press the raise hand button, and looking forward to seeing what I'm about to say. I did want to tell May and whoever else there is a new guides definitely showed up that I started listening to this morning. We'll have it in the library today. And one of the things the guides were clearly stating, I can't hear it enough, um, in what they channeled this weekend in New York City. It's kind of neat. I realized that they were channeling on Saturday in New York City, where there were hundreds of thousands of people standing outside, just stating something, right? Um, right. I think I got the time right. But anyway, they we're focusing on this what this is God expressing as Cindy, the Christ moving through in this individuated expression, and the willingness to really accept that, that means we everything is available here and now, and what is being seen outside of us is really just what's been hidden, which has been so useful for me to recognize over and over and over again. A key part of, this teaching and how it all merges is something that I really resisted that the guides were saying when I first heard it, is that they are clearly stating over and over and over again that everything in my purview, everything I'm aware of, I am responsible for. Not that I did it, but I was in agreement, this from a collective individual standpoint, I was in agreement with what is being seen. And the moment I could really deeply do the work to accept my function, which in this case is accepting that I am not separate from the whole. I am an integrated, essential aspect of the whole, which means everything that is being witnessed and experienced is something that I contributed to, even if it's just in my agreement to the belief in fear and separation. And I gotta tell you, every time I say something like that out loud, I get a little nauseous, which is also kind of cool. Like there's a nauseous feeling arising in here. But the moment I accept that responsibility, it can be reclaimed. It can be brought and cleaned and purified. So um, it took an interesting turn this morning during an interesting diet experience. It was a bit of chaos, technically speaking, and stuff. But ultimately, I got to this place where I understood that whenever I am able to not focus so much on the specific story, and there were a lot of them. This, half hour on the phone with my sister created a lot of opportunities to believe the world and to believe that I should have an opinion and a judgment and things should be different than they are. Love you, Sandra. Um, that ultimately, how ultimately would I have the ability to be cognizant and aware and agreement to is in which direction is my attention flowing? You know, in this moment, is my attention contributing to fear and duality? Or am I willing to continually allow the stepping back and the reclaiming and the tethering to the truth that there isn't anything that could ever overcome love in its purity or truth or whatever you want to put it. And so there was a deepening into that as my function slash purpose this morning was really to be so aware on the subtlest ways imaginable of what where I was placing and leaving attention, where my focus was lying, what I believed could hurt me or limit me, and allow that to come up, take responsibility for it. And man, on a micro, we could talk global. It's easy for me to talk global, but what about Cindy's day-to-day life? What about the areas that Cindy insists her world should be better? Um, that standing still in that and really taking responsibility in a way that I don't even know how to do, but that's not my function. That how to do it isn't my function, right? It's the softening and the willingness to open and accept that the only thing, Cindy, is in truth is God expressing itself in this individuated way, and any
Can
sense of lack is a belief, right?
I can I interrupt you for a second? I want to ask. I have had a response to what you said, a physical response to something that you said, and I want to just put it out there and see if anyone else had a similar response. And it was when you said, "I have a responsibility. I am partly responsible for this world of separation," or I forget what you said. The guides say that we're responsible for the way things are. Um, I wonder if anyone else had a, a physical sense around that statement.
Yeah, I rejected it for the longest time. I've heard them say it so many times, and they've literally stated, if you see it, then at the very least you've been in agreement to it, and in that way you're contributing to it as long as you're agreeing to it.
Hmm. Yeah.
And they're not
Anybody
what?
else have a feeling around that sense that I must be in agreement to this?
It looks like Alka's about ready to speak, but I could be making that up.
Good morning, Elka.
Good morning. Yeah, my first reaction was rejection of all that totally. How could this be possible? But as I started to give thought to it, what they are saying is not wrong. I think we do become responsible for what we see, but then they do add that we can, I don't totally understand it, reclaim it in the upper room. I don't know how to do it yet. But yes, I see more and more how I am responsible for, I'm not responsible, sorry, but I am in agreement in a way. I did grow up with tribalism. This is my land, and if somebody attacks, we have the right to defend them. All that and all that. I won't go into the details. And when that is what it's bringing up for me, that I have been agreement to separation and fear. But I am now moving away from it. I don't know yet how to reclaim it in the upper room. I hope I will. So, yes, I agree with the
That's a
guide.
great question, Alka. That's a really good one. How to reclaim it in the upper room. We should put that on the table, because that's a question I've had too.
So
I didn't mean to interrupt you, Alka. I want to know if you're complete. Okay. Okay. And it's Cindy, I don't want you to answer that question for us right now. I appreciate it, and I know you probably have something really great to say, but I want to just know if anyone else had that resistance that Alka talked about. Yeah, I did too. May did, Patricia.
The guides also they had this one that I listened to like a couple times last week, but it was about the melting of the ice, where it's like they were talking about everything that you hide from God, like you have to they're like they were using the metaphor of melting ice, which I found helpful, but I think there is a part of me that does like try to resist that or something. Or like it's hard because it's like in truth I know that like I would never want to like agree to any of this, but it's like yeah, it's happening and it's like it is like we do have to look at it and understand it. And yeah, it is that re-articulation where it's like this is something that we have to look at. Like, we can't hide it, I think, is like I think the pushing it away, like, pretending that it's not happening is, like, what maybe exacerbates it, and I think it's the, like, recognizing how it serves in the, like, the the function of forgiveness is how we kinda re-alchemize it, but I don't know.
That's absolutely beautiful. You said two things, um, and I'm going to forget what they both were. But the first one relates to something Cindy says, which is a micro feeling. It may feel like a micro rejection. It's so subtle that you might not even recognize that you've just rejected it. And it's bringing it into the light, isn't it? It's bringing it into the light. And that's where bringing it to the upper room comes. Because once you bring it to the light, once you allow yourself to recognize the micro feeling, then you recognize you have been in resistance to it. And just that recognition gives you the opportunity to choose a different way. And that is bringing it into the upper room. That's my take on it. May, thank you for that. And I want to just open it up to anybody else before I turn it over to Cindy, because I know she's gonna give us her insights. So this micro resistance to being in agreement to the chaos, to the what we call negativity, to the hatred, to the violence, to the disruption.
Yeah, it's all separation.
Separation.
I think it's, yeah, it serves as like, it serves as separation, but like our challenge or whatever, our function is to recognize that within all of that is the divine. It's like you can't deny the divine in anything. It's all God. And that's how you transform.
Thank you, Richard. And then I'm going to call on Cindy.
Morning, everyone. If my voice feels a little shaky, or rather than normal. I had a little accident last weekend. Well, fractured the hip. Not the hip. Rib. So I'm dealing with that. So when I breathe, it hurts. So that affects my language. So but what I got out of that was what came to mind was I think the course and the guys are saying the same thing. Then in order to move ahead, evolve ahead, in order to be up in the upper room, we have to be capable of non-judgmental awareness. In other words, whatever happening in our lives is what's happening. The minute we judge it, we become part of the collective. And that is judging it, we're identifying with the separate self. And therefore, we are adding to the whole chaos of the collective. So, the only way we're known to be part of the collective, when we think of it as good or bad or whatever the situation is that you're living, is because you're not judging whatever you're seeing. You're just letting it be without judgment. And I think when you get to the point in your growth, you can easily take it into the upper room. It's much easier to love it and let it be than argue with it. Oh, it should be this way or that way. That's my take.
Beautiful.
Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you, Richard. And this is it. Thank you, Richard. I know you're not your body, but I also know that into a rib, it's really tough because you can't stop breathing. And yeah, oh my goodness. I thought I noticed something was amiss with you. So many blessings to you, Richard. Yeah. Thank you for
So you froze there for a minute, Amy. Did you?
okay. Yeah, I know why.
So is there space here for me to just say what's on my heart to say? Which is it is my not only my understanding, but I'm willing to well, I have given everything to the pointing that though Cindy the personality doesn't has a limited view of what's going on, the monad knows exactly um, what's happening, the monad or the Christ itself or the higher self. Love you, Patricia. And so it does not need but my personality's agreement to enact the reclamation work that the guides keep pointing to. So the guides have also clearly stated that these attunements that they've given us is the way to get that done. And I've been arguing a little bit, back and forth, that my personality wants to make it more complicated. But there is this understanding that if I allow this sort of discordant energy, and one of the most recent, in all honesty, at the end of all of our meetings yesterday, I sat for an extended period of time and just felt how separate I felt to August. With the way August presented yesterday. And I hope you can hear me, my friend, but the feeling of feeling apart, one of my own was claiming he was spiraling, wanting to be there, all the different communications that were occurring. At the end of the day yesterday, I sat for some period of time instead of distracting myself or judging or justifying. I sat and allowed myself to feel how separate that feeling was, how I felt separate from an aspect of myself that I love so much, right? And I just allowed it, because that's my understanding of this work. The first thing I have to really do, Sandra's not here, is really, really allow it to fully express here. And it hurt. Like, I really wanted it to be different. So many of us, even Nadego said, come to Nyack. And I allowed just the feeling of separation to arise. And then the teaching states to me that once it's seen, and I accepted it here as a felt experience, I went to the attunements. I am in God, I am as God, I am with God, God is with me. And I gave my willingness to make that the truth and not the separation. And that's where, like, I've been sitting with, which one am I going to invest my energy in? And for a while, it got even more painful because the habit is to believe the separation. But the practice last night was to just pour my attention and my energy into the attunements and trust that it's all one. And to me, that is currently my purpose and my function, is to just allow all this sense of being a separate being who cannot affect change to come up, to allow it to be felt and seen and experienced. And then the action of stating the attunements out loud and in my heart feels like this surrender into the part of me that knows only love. That's one way of putting it. So that's what's on my heart to share.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, it's 11:03. We have spent an hour on this lesson, and this has been a great discussion. Really appreciate everyone's wisdom. And we're going to gather again. When are we gathering again?
57 minutes.
Yeah, less than an hour. So thank you all for being here and participating in this. Thank you for sharing. And I will see you in just a little bit if you can join us.